Our thanks to David Crisp for joining us, Noah Dickerson as well. Your questions, please direct them to one or the other, and then if you'd like both to answer, at least start with one, and then the other will logically follow. So we'll start with your questions. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Elton Alexander with the Plain Dealer. I'll start with Noah, and David, you can back it up. As the tournament goes on, post-play is often overlooked but becomes more and more important. Can you talk about that both as a guy in the post and as a point guard looking for baskets, you know, easy baskets, although they're actually tough, but tough baskets, something you can get to, it really kind of goes at attacking the opposition?
Well, I mean, as a post player, we do get overlooked a little bit, especially in a long tournament, but, you know, the longer the tournament goes on, the more guys get tired. Some maybe jump shots a little bit short and things like that. But the thing is when you're a post player, being around the basket, it's hard to be short. You know, you're right there at the basket. And so just going and attacking the basket, shooting great field percentages, and then look, I get double teamed a lot, and then so it's a lot easier to make open jump shots when they're out there playing horse, when they're stepping into jump shots rather than shooting contested ones. So, you know.
Yeah, for sure. To back up what he was saying, you know, when you got a great post player like Noah, teams like to double team him a lot, and he's a great passer out of the post. So whenever teams send a double team, he's great at finding the open man and finding cutters. And whenever they don't double, you know, he puts guys, you know, in a tough position because, you know, he can score. He got a lot of moves down there. He can finish with either hand. So he's definitely it works to our advantage.
Is it really playing horse, like you said?
You saw us shoot yesterday.
Definitely.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Mike Toper from Spectrum News in Raleigh. This one's for Noah. Staying with that theme, I'm not sure how much you know about North Carolina yet, but they are a team that leads the country in rebounding. They get a lot of points in the paint. You know, how do you go about trying to slow them down and kind of stuff it in there to prevent some of those close baskets?
We play zone, and so we just playing with our strength, doing what we do. Our zone is meant to stop that. We don't give up layups. We don't give up threes, and so that basically our game plan is the same thing we did every year. All year.
David, this is obviously a unique time of the season, and you're seeing teams that you haven't necessarily prepared for, and you don't necessarily know their style because you're not that familiar with them. Familiarity with the officiating is also something that changes very much, and obviously yesterday you had to make a big adjustment to that.
Yes, for sure. They called a lot of fouls that, you know, it could have been, just overlooked in the season. And so, you know, that's just something you just got to adjust to, and just be smarter, make better decisions, and just adjust to the game, but still being aggressive though. I'm not playing timid.
Do you try as a team to make that adjustment early to find out how the game is going to be called and then go from there?
We just come out here and try and play as hard as we can, you know, stick to our game plan and leave it all out there, give extreme effort, and then, we get a feel for how the refs are calling it, and, we just adjust to that. But, we always go in with the same approach. We're going to play very aggressive and give a lot of effort.
Go ahead.
Brett Friedlander, North State Journal. David, and then Noah, you can add your 2 cents in on this. I'm sure you guys have seen Carolina a lot on TV, but being on the opposite side of the country, what do you know about them outside of what may have already been done with the scouting report here in the last couple hours?
Obviously everybody knows a historically great program, very well coached, got a great coach over there, and they got some guys over there with some experience, and guys who have been in this position before and, got a lot of experience. So we knew that coming in, and we know that for us to come out and have a great shot tomorrow, we're going to have to play really together, play really hard, a lot of effort, trust the game plan our coach is giving us, and just go out there and leave everything out on the line.
This is for either David or Noah. Noah had talked about the zone defense, which we've seen, and We know where Coach Hop got that from. UNC sees Syracuse's zone twice a year. What makes your defense stand out a little bit more and makes it a little more dangerous?
We tend to try to take away the three completely. We extend our zone out, so we don't give up threes and no layups. And so that's us. We don't, with the way basketball's going nowadays, people can shoot the ball from all over the place, all over the court, very deep. And so our zone really takes into account how people are shooting and try to take them out the game.
David, did you want to respond to that?
I completely agree with Noah.
That's a good
Try to
response.
take that three ball away for sure, and try to limit the high post touches as best as we can.
George Willis, New York Post, down here. We see North Carolina in this situation year after year. What does it mean to your program to get to this point and be in the spotlight? David, you can have it first.
It means a lot to our program, especially how everything's been going down over the course of our 4 years here. 2 years ago we were 9-22, won 2 games in conference. Didn't make any postseason tournaments, anything.
Terrible.
So 2 years ago, nobody would expect us to be where we are now. So just making it as far as we have, it's been it's been great. But we're still working. We still got more we want to achieve. So we're still hungry.
For sure.
Yeah, Bill Rabinowitz from the Columbus Dispatch for Noah. A little bit along those lines, you've been clearly the best team in your conference, but your conference has taken a decent amount of criticism this year. North Carolina is North Carolina from the ACC. Is there any element to you're playing for more than just your team, but playing for your conference as well?
Yeah. When Oregon beat us at the Pac-12 tournament, we were shaking hands and all like, now we got to go win some games for the conference. Our conference got a hit this year. People were talking bad about us. It is what it is. And so I do think we are playing for our conference just to show some more respect for us. You know what I mean? And I understand there's an East Coast bias. I understand 'cause I'm from the East Coast. And so, it's understandable, but, we do have some hoopers over here. You know what I mean?
How does a kid from the East Coast end up in the Pacific Northwest?
Man, I came out and visited during the summer, so it was really nice out. It was really nice out. And so, I thought it was like that year round. I didn't think the rain was how they said it was. They did. No, they did for sure. For sure. Well, for sure.
This question's for Noah. I was going to ask you about being from back east over here. I was going to ask you about being from back east, being from the Atlanta area. Have you had any run-ins with any of the current Carolina players? Maybe a Brandon Robinson through AAU or something?
Yeah. So Brandon Robinson, he played for the Georgia Stars. He wasn't on my team, but he was on a couple years younger than me. Luke May, when I was a junior, when we were on our last year at AAU, I played his team like 7-8 times that whole summer. About 7-8 times. As your parents talked a lot, got pretty close, and so I've throughout the years I've always been glad that he's been doing his thing at North Carolina. It's been it's been fun to watch.
How did you do against Luke?
Guess we'll have to see tomorrow.
That was going to be my question as well, but what's it like when you have, again, post players that are allowed to play in the post, as hopefully you two guys are? I mean, you're not allowed a bunch of 3-points. I think Luke may take a couple more than you, but basically you guys are 10 feet in the end. Just talk about that and talk about, what it's like to have 30, 40 minutes of that kind of basketball.
It's always fun, especially another guy that plays kind of just like me. We've had these battles from years back now. It's tough, it's hard on your body, but it's how I love to play the game of basketball. It's how I grew up playing it, and that's how I'll always play it, It's fun to me. And I like to do the dirty work.
Up front here.
George Willis again, New York Post. I hope each of you can answer this, David and Noah. What was it about Coach that made you believe that he was going to be the right guy for the job?
Oh, he's crazy. And I can honestly, he's crazy. And I've had success at the high school level. I won 2 national championships, and my coach in high school was crazy. Hey, so I realized there's a line there, and he just, you know, he's just a man with a plan, and he's able to show that plan, and it's where we sit now, you know, 2 years later.
Yeah, same thing Noah's saying. He's crazy, and that's the same with Noah. My coaches in the past, they've been crazy. First phone call I had with him, he just told me, you know, pretty much his life story, how he grew up. Told me he was a kid, always overlooked, always had a chip on his shoulder, and you know, that clicked with me because that's the same way I felt growing up. And you know, once he told me that, you know, we connected off of that, and then he just told me his vision, and he wasn't just telling me anything I wanted to hear. You know, he was telling me the truth, telling me everything he thought we could accomplish as long as the guys bought in. And so, you know, right from day one, I told him he got me, and I believed in his plan. Yeah, Noah said that we're sitting here today.
Yeah, Noah, but both of you really. How was he crazy? Can you explain how and why he's crazy and why that is a good thing and not a bad thing?
Y'all haven't seen my man drop down and give you 10 push-ups in a press conference? Who does that? Who does that? I'm not. But, you know, his energy is contagious. You know, like, man, it's contagious. And it feeds, and we feed off that on the court, you know? And 1 second he can be going crazy, next second he's the calmest person in the room. Like with him, you never know. You got to be ready for anything. And, you know, that's one of our mottos for the team.
Does he ever run the old game film of himself at Syracuse?
Nah, I saw it on Twitter one time. He looked a lot different with hair, though. He looked a lot different with hair.
A lot different. You know, I'll give you 2 stories for first time experiences with him. First time I seen him in person, I was just coming. It was the springtime. I came in. He was coming. Just got in town, about to do his press conference. When I introduced a new head coach, he sees me from the top of the arena. He's in a full suit, and then he said, "Is that DC?" He sprints down the stairs, runs across the court, and picks me up, gives me a big hug. And then the second one, our first workouts we have, he breaks his nose because he's in there battling with us, like body, you know, trying to be scrappy with us. He breaks his nose. But he took it like a champ. He got up. He's like, "Man, I think I broke my nose." And then the next day, you see him, he got purple all over his eyes. But he's crazy, but it's definitely contagious, though.
And it's a good crazy.
Good crazy.
Yeah.
It's good crazy.
You guys are tremendous. Thank you. We appreciate your time. One more question. Go ahead.
I guess after hearing this, what do you guys, when you see around the countries like you know, all the brouhaha or whatever outside looking in with Coach Izzo and what you just said with Coach Hopkins, do you get the sense that people don't understand coach-player relationships?
Oh, yeah. Are you talking about that tweet that came out on Twitter about Tom Izzo yelling at his player and stuff like that? Yeah, no, for a fact, because I seen it so many. You've seen it, right? Yeah, like it's crazy to me because coaches yell at you. You know what I mean? And like he said in this press conference, if you weren't doing your job, you'd be criticized about it too. You know, like it is what it is, and people get yelled at. You know, you're men. You're 18, 19, 20. Like you know, get over it. It is what it is.
And on top of that, a lot of people, you know, you don't see a lot of things that goes on behind closed doors. You know, you don't see the team meetings at coach's house. You know, you don't see the long conversations you have in the coach's offices. You know, you don't see how much coach is there for you. You know, they don't see that love that's always there. And when somebody loves you, you know, you're willing to let them push you, you know, to your limits. You know, and that's what brings the greatness out of people. And so people don't understand that, you know, a lot of times with these coaches, you know, it's more than just, oh, that's my coach. You know, it's real
family.
Love between there. It's family.
Yeah,
so.
Families fight.
Yeah.
I fight with my twin brother all the time, to this day.
All right. Very good. Thank you very much, as always, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Crazy Mike Hopkins will join us in a couple of minutes. we now have the other side of the story. Mike Hopkins, we will have to start out, Coach, by saying we had two particular witnesses previously that referred to you as crazy.
That's not true. That's not true. Not true. Not true at all.
We did surmise that it was a good crazy.
Good crazy.
Yeah. Any of your questions? Go ahead.
Bill Rabinovich from the Columbus Dispatch. Along those lines, I mean, it's not often that players call their coach crazy, and that's affectionately. Is it true that you did hug David Crisp the first time at your introductory press conference, and that you broke your nose in the first practice?
That is true. I'm just pretty passionate, and I just love life and love being around my kids. And you know, when David Crisp told me he was staying, I probably could have suffocated him. I squeezed him so hard. But I'm an interact. I like to interact. I like to be involved. I don't like to be the guy sitting on the ceiling saying, "Run faster." You know, I like to be involved. I like to. It's my assistant coach in me that I love. That's why I love it. I love the interaction with the kids and being out there sweating with them.
Yeah, is that something that's easily overlooked? Is when you come into a new situation, as you did at Washington, and you have to say, "I've got to get this guy, and this guy to stay." Is it more than we in the public realize?
You know what it is, because you know you're going to have 1 hour to meet with these kids for them to make a decision for the rest of their life. And I said it was a form of speed dating. You know, you had to be on, you had to be sitting there, and you were going from table to the guys were coming in, you're meeting with their families and sharing your vision. And, you know, it was an incredible time. And, you know, a lot of those guys stayed with us, which was really, really special. And here we are. And, you know, we've grinded together, we've worked hard together, we've sweated together, staff, players, administrative staff. It's been a heck of a run.
Coach, I asked the players, and so I asked you on regarding the game, the importance of post play as this tournament continues to go on and on and on. It seems like that becomes imperative, and it come to find out, Noah said he and Luke have a history together. So can you address, one, obviously, importance of post play going forward, and two, just that matchup in particular?
We have a program, we go inside out. We play inside out, and believe in offensive balance. Having a great post player is like having a great penetrator. And then you have a guy who can not only score in a man-to-man situation, but he can pass out of double teams, and then he can make foul shots. That's a heck of a weapon. And this year, Noah's sacrificed a lot. Last year he was all Pac-12, and this year they've double-teamed and triple-teamed him, have game planned around him, and it's opened up opportunities for the rest of the guys to step up and make plays, and that's where we've gotten better. We've become better with our balance. I know this is kind of the corny coaching cliche, but we honestly have 9 guys that could start for us. You know, Nas Carter came up big. Dom Green's been like that the whole year. Jamal Bay's coming on, came in and gave us a great 8 minutes at the end. Sam Timmons has had great moments, and these guys have stayed together, positive, and could be a different guy either night. And it's a luxury for a coach to have that. I don't know what their past is. I don't know what the history is, but you're talking about 2 incredible post players. Luke is a guy I saw when I was at Syracuse, and he just kept getting better and better, and he's turned into one of the best big guys in the country. He shoots it. He's great in the mid-post. He can pass. He's an aggressive rebounder. I mean, that's what, you know, you talk about Carolina, you talk about their big guys. They've had great guards, but they're big guys. They're inside out. They try to crush you on the glass. They're, you know, that's what they do, and he's been a great player for them.
Coach, Mike Tober from Spectrum News in Raleigh. It wasn't that long ago this Washington program was well below 500, but the past 2 years, you know, back-to-back tournaments, you get a win yesterday. How have you gotten these guys to kind of buy in, and has this all kind of come together quicker than you might have thought?
You know, that's a great question. All we were trying to do is put in our offensive system, put in our defensive system, put in our culture system, and work hard every day. People say, you know, you never know. Some people, the learnability, I've worked with kids, you show them a move, and it takes them a year to even get it. These guys, and some guys just get it faster. And our guys kept believing. They've worked hard every day, and we have a saying, DMGB, doesn't matter, get better. And so you lose by 30, doesn't matter, get better. Win by 1, doesn't matter, get better. And that's what the guys have done. They've believed in what we've been selling with our defense, and they've gotten better at it. And it's been fun to watch them grow. And if I told you I knew the timeline or when we would get it, I would be lying to you. You just never know. All you can do is work hard every day. That's kind of the culture that we have at University of Washington, and we just try to get better every day.
Brett Friedlander, North State Journal. Is the zone that you run pretty much the same thing you and Jimmy did in Syracuse, or are there a few wrinkles that you've thrown in now that it's your system? And then, as familiar as Roy is with what you do, you're pretty much as familiar with what he does. How much does that kind of play into the preparations for this?
Well, like anything, when you're playing against the zone, you can't really mimic it in practice, or you're playing against Carolina, you can't mimic how fast they push the ball up, because that's what they do better than anybody in the country. And you know, we run very similar zone. We have different type of personnel, so we have to utilize it a little bit differently based on our personnel. But it's all, the foundation is definitely what we did at Syracuse. And you know, very familiar with North Carolina. I was very familiar with Coach Williams at Kansas. We had played him multiple times. One of the great coaches to ever do it, and one of the great college basketball programs of all time. So it's an honor to even have the opportunity to play him. It's for a coach and for a program that's trying to build, it's like a dream come true. You get a chance to play against the best of the best. I mean, what's better than that in March Madness time?
Mike Nancy Armour with USA Today Sports. The guys talked about relishing that look on an opponent's face when you guys have frustrated them defensively, and said that they saw it last night. How do you build that, you know, instill that in guys, maybe even more so than getting excited about offense?
Well, you know what, it goes back to, you know, what your culture is, and our culture is, you know, defense travels. You can bring it anywhere. It's what you can control. You can't control make to miss shots. But you can control how hard you play and how smart you play and how together you play. And for us on the defensive end, it's something that we hang our hat on. And it is like a Rubik's Cube. You know, we can make adjustments, and it can frustrate teams. But that goes back to when we're locked in and focused on our game plan and moving around and flying around. We've also proven in certain times when we haven't been locked in and haven't been focused, where teams can hurt it. So hopefully we'll be that locked in and focused for tomorrow.
Coach Chris Egan, King 5 TV, Seattle. Some people in the Northwest starting to compare you to Pete Carroll because of your high energy, your positive approach on the floor. Is this something you've just always had as a coach, or was there another coach that kind of passed that philosophy to you?
You know, the one lesson that I learned is be who you are. And I'm 49 going on 14 sometimes. I like to have fun. I like to interact. I've been very fortunate in my career to learn from some of the greatest coaches and be around some of the greatest coaches in the game. And my high school coach, Gary McKnight, Bob Johnson was my 6th grade Little League baseball coach, the super quarterback coach, high school coach at Mission Viejo High School. Played for Jim Boeheim. I was with the Olympic team with Coach K. I've been really lucky, and whenever you're around great coaches that have changed your life, you know, and you learn a little bit from everybody. So the one thing that they all have in common is they're all really simple. They're all great people. They all care about kids and developing kids, and most importantly, I know that they are who they are. And you know, if I got to roll up my sleeves and take off my coat, and everybody's like, "Why are you taking off your coat?" I don't know. That's just what I do. I'm nervous. I don't know what happens. I feel like I'm in a sand trap on the golf course. You know, I just got to roll it up. It's going to be difficult. I start rolling it up, and that's just what it is. just been very fortunate and learned from a lot of people.
Noah mentioned that his visit to the campus happened in the summer, and he recommended for your recruiting going forward that was probably a good idea. Is that a plan?
That's a plan. That's a plan.
Mike, Art Teal, Sports Press Northwest. History and tradition don't mean anything once the ball goes up and the game goes on, but you've come from a program that's had a lot of history and tradition itself. Well, where does that pay off in terms of prestige and that sort of thing?
I just think, we're trying to, the Carolinas and the Dukes and the Syracuses and the great Kentucky, the great programs, that's what you strive to be. That's what your goal is. You want to play against the best. Gonzaga, that's what you strive to be, and you try to do it your way. A standard of excellence. What they represent, playing for something bigger than yourself. The Carolina way, the Husky way, that's what you're trying to be. And so to be able to have the opportunity to play against the best of the best is, you see what it's like, you see what it feels like, you see what it smells like, you see what it looks like. That's how you learn, through experience. And it would be an unbelievable opportunity for us to learn, to play. Hopefully we can play well. And it's going to be a great, like I said, a great opportunity.
Is there a point where you need to shut it off personally before a game? You could prepare and not sleep for 24 hours if you someone with your energy, I know. But
this is the best time. The best fatigue is after winning. I don't care. We'll be up all night. The staff was up all night. They looked like they hadn't slept in 5 days and all excited in practice. And so, listen, we're in March Madness playing against North Carolina. I mean, is there anything better? And I told these guys, March Madness is an opportunity for Cinderella to have a chance to play for a national championship. We didn't come here just to get here. And that's not our standard. That's not what we're trying to do. We got to have a game plan, go out and play against the best, see where we stand, and hopefully we can execute a game plan and come out with a win.
Phenomenal. Thank you. Great as always.
Thank you, guys.
We appreciate it. Good luck tomorrow.